Welcome everybody to Tattle County, Georgia, by native Sweet Onion Country. Thank you all for making the time. Taking the time to give up a precious, beautiful Saturday to be together and to learn skills that we're going to need in the changing times to come. We're in the process of creating a movement here in South Georgia. A movement of people who are interested in organic and sustainable and health and community and all the things that we've been missing in our industrial society. One night, you guys are 262 strong, and we have a waiting list. You're coming from places Ailey, Dudley, Vidalia, Ludowici, Brunswick, Savannah, Glenville, Reedsville. There's a group, we tried to limit this to only people from South Georgia and especially rural South Georgia. But there is a group of ladies from the Ladies Homestead Gathering in Statham, and go ladies. And there are a number of people from rural lower South Carolina. A lot of our farmers, some of our farmers there plug into Georgia because we have a little bit more going on. Thank you all and welcome. One night, this is our third event. One night before last year's event, Raven had a dream, and in the dream, he dreamed that I was organizing a conference that turned into 10 days in the woods, no food, no talking, and no clothes. This is one day, one jam-packed day, plenty of great food, lots of talking, and we're all wearing our clothes. Last night we had the appetizer for the event, which was a potluck at the Adult Ed Center downtown, and the movie Genetic Roulette, The Gamble of Our Lives, a movie very worth watching. My family is new to Tatnall County. Raven and I moved here 3 years ago when we bought the farm of our dreams. We lucked out in so many ways, but one of those ways was David Avery. David is Executive Director of our Greater Tatnall Chamber of Commerce. He's the busiest man I know. He organizes serious festivals, business socials, ribbon cuttings, a junior chamber, and there are 5 or 6 of them here volunteering today. Anything that will enhance our local economy, which is partly what this movement is all about. Keeping money in our own communities, keeping our citizens healthy, keeping production close to home so we can profit from it, and also safeguard it. David is also a reporter for the Tatnall Journal. His weekly column is the only part of the paper that I never miss because it's always good for a laugh and sometimes a roll on the floor. I've asked my good friend and inspiration, David Avery, to welcome you to our part of creation.
Thank you, Janisse. I appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. I appreciate so much that Janisse and Raven and everybody that has been involved in this event putting it together. Having done a lot of events myself over the years, I understand it doesn't just happen. It takes a lot of really hard work. On behalf of our chamber, I'd like to welcome everyone to not only Tatnall County, but to Tatnall County High School, and say what a cool thing it is that Mr. Glenn Stewart, our principal, allowed us to have such an event here. You know, our county is a large county in comparison to many of the counties in Georgia. We have 492 square miles of beautiful pasture land, forests, the Ohoopee, the Altamaha River, and lots of other natural resources. We are proud of those resources here in Tatnall County, but many of us grow more concerned every day about the future of those resources. I live less than a mile from the Ohoopee and have witnessed how the water in the river continues to dissipate each and every year. We wonder about global warming and the fact that our winters are shorter and that our summers are more severe, hotter, and more drought every year. This is why I enjoy seeing people like yourselves attend these type of events. Because I would say without a doubt that those people interested in organic farming and local markets are also the same people who fight for the preservation of our rivers and other natural resources. We need to continue bringing the problems we see in our environment to the attention of our elected officials. And yes, I'm talking about the Republicans too. When I entered the University of Florida in 1970, I was just a kid, but I understood many of the movements that were going on as far as protecting our environment and the civil rights for all people. I was one of the few who did back then, and it was because of the love and the forward thinking of my grandmother Lamar. Grandma Lamar's best friend was an African-American woman. Every Saturday they would go fishing, and Grandma would come back cussing about how people were just screwing up that damn river. I mentioned that because the cussing particularly, because you see Grandma was also a Baptist preacher's wife, which made it even more remarkable and funny. Grandma would not allow us to flush the toilets every time we had to let water, in her words, because she understood way back then that water was a precious commodity. It's a shame that 43 years later, and I can't believe I'm this old, but I admit to 43 years later, we are still having these same discussions. Should government protect our environment, our rivers, our lakes, and other resources? You damn right they should. Are they doing a good enough job? Heck no, they're not. Should all people have equal rights in this country? I say yes, and although we have progressed a lot in the arena of rights for African Americans, we're still denying those same rights to Hispanic people as well as gay men and women. That, my friends, in my opinion, is very unacceptable. In my writings, I often talk about Grandma Lamar, and I will give you a perspective of who she was by reading you just a couple paragraphs from one of the latest things I wrote about her. After that year of soap making, we never did it again. Grandpa Otis, who was the only person who Grandma would listen to in the least, convinced her that she worked way too hard and just needed to buy that soap. I doubt she would have listened to him, but then she discovered Cashmere Bouquet at the Blair and Finley grocery store. The company put out one big bag of soap for under $1 a bag. Each bag had a dozen or more bars of soap. Grandma particularly appreciated the fact that the bars were all different colors and had differing smells. Of course, each time I smelled one of the bars, I would think that people would probably be thinking that we're all street floozies, but I never expressed my concern. Now, don't think for a second that her frugality let up at that point. No, she would make us all save the bars. When they got down so small that we couldn't use them, we had to put them in a shoebox under the sink. I secretly named her the Soap Patrol. She watched her inventory very closely. When she had a good number of pieces accumulated, she would then melt them all, shape them into bars, and we had to reuse them again. Of course, the color would be dreadful, and the smell was even worse since it was now a menagerie of cheap perfume smells. Naturally, I never said anything to her about my concerns. Today, I can't look at a bar of soap and not think of Grandma. She would never understand the need for so many different brands and would be mortified at the cost of even the domestic soaps, which is what she called cleaning soaps that didn't have milk and perfume in them. I would also think, when I look at all these, I think of what a different world it would be if everyone was as saving and respectful of our earth as Grandma Lamar was. On behalf of Grandma Lamar, I'd like to welcome you all here today. I know she would love it here today, and she would find all of you people intriguing, and believe me, she would talk to each and every one of you. I hope you all enjoy the informative sessions, and feel free to come back and visit Tattnall County anytime you can. Thank y'all very much.
You also tell that I have a very unusual chamber director, and we love him so much. So this includes a bottle of cane syrup from
that I'm never. Thank y'all very much. Thanks, Janisse.
Started as an idea in the brimming brain of my friend and colleague Leanne Colbert, who I met when we were both in grad school in Montana. Okravores is a loose takeoff on the word locavores. People who understand that there's Leanne. People understand why to eat locally, and Okravores is a loose affiliation of people who care about sustainable ag. It's not a 501c3, there are no meetings. It's just a listserv and a Facebook page. Leanne took charge of organizing the first conference in Tifton in 2010. The second was last January at the Vide Union Research Station. Some of you were there. I organized the conference this year with tons of help from a small group of people I have to name: Ellen Corey, Dan Corey, Leanne Colbreth, Connie Hayes, Larry Kochek, and my husband, who is the most amazing, awesome husband ever, Raven Waters. Marcia Cunningham lives in my hometown, and Marcia did all the decorating. Lena Hilliard works at the high school, and she's doing tech for us. Thank you all so much. To give credibility to the conference, we loosely based Okravores sought the sponsorship of a number of higher profile organizations. I want to thank those sponsors and ask that their representatives stand and remain standing, because I want you to see the people who are on the front lines of this movement. Leanne Colbreth, Okravores of South Georgia, and also organizer of the Wiregrass Farmers Market of Tifton. Deborah Chester, the Statesboro Main Street Farmers Market. Terry Shell of the Forsyth Farmers Market of Savannah. Terry has guidelines and applications if you're interested in selling there. Relinda, Coastal Organic Growers, COG, stand up Relinda. David Avery, Greater Patton Chamber, and Stephanie Haas from Georgia Organics. Thank you, Stephanie. Introduce you.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Haas. I'm the membership coordinator at Georgia Organics. I'm going to try and keep this brief, and I'm going to sneak through some things here for you. Alice, the director, and Don Cooper, our new farmer services coordinator, are very sad that they couldn't make it today, but I'm happy to relay anything you'd like me to for them. Like I said, I'm the membership and volunteer coordinator, and it's a relatively new position at Georgia Organics because we are growing. And we're growing because of the demand at the national level and the local level through our memberships. When I started 4.5 years ago, we had a staff of 4, and 2 years before that we had 2. And now there are 11 people on staff at Georgia Organics. So we're continuing to grow with demand for organic food and the knowledge that people are gaining. I wanted to also say that the work that you guys are doing here in South Georgia is being recognized, and we're emulating some of our program work on the successes that you are having. Change happens in communities. It happens with the farms and the chefs. And while we are working really, really hard to connect dots and to work with legislators to remove barriers for organic farmers and to educate folks on why it's important to care where your food comes from, the real change is happening here in this community and in other communities around it. But you guys are a shining example. You're making beautiful change, and I wanted to say thank you on behalf of Georgia Organics for what you do, all of you. And if you have anything if you have any suggestions on what we can do to better serve you here, please let me know. Please find me. And I have local food guides. I drove a van full of them down here. Please help me justify that, driving that beast. and take them off my hands. And if you want to know about the conference, we have a conference next month. I'm happy to talk to you about that as well. So, and okay, one more thing. I just wanted to share with you something that Carlo Petrini said at Terra Madre when I went. I was fortunate to go in October, and he said that he made a sentiment about joy and food justice, and he said if we're not excited about it, then what's the point, right? So take joy in what you do.